think all of the artists here, it's an incremental thing, right? Because when you're first starting out, you just have to kind of learn, you've got to learn songs, and then it's like, where do I perform these songs? And it's very incremental, I think. And for Maya talking about being at the school and having that showcase there, and for John B having those experiences as well, and Emma Marie having a similar thing where you just kind of get into having those different experiences. But I think it does take steps, right?
Right.
And
Walk
maybe even
before you
having,
can run, right?
maybe even having one song that you really have honed and you can do well. It's not a matter of having a 45-minute set or something like that, but I think it's important for youth that are starting out to kind of see what some of the options are, where maybe they have a 20-minute gig at Avogadro's Number, and maybe they have a realities ride show where they're up there for a song, for a performance. Emma, I kind of wanted you to comment a little bit on, you've had situations where you had like a song to perform. So talk about that, please.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started out, I would just, get asked, hey, could you play at this fundraiser? And then as I would just play a song, and then people started to oh, that's Emma Marie, maybe we should ask her to come and play at our, fundraiser or whatever. And I really like, so I'm adopted. And so there's an organization called Adoption Dreams, and so that's really, really special to me because I'm adopted, and so that means a lot. So every year I play a song or a few songs, and then Blue Star Connection, and they're an organization that brings music and joy to kids with cancer and life-threatening diseases. And so I'm really involved in that organization, and it all just started out with a song. So I think it's really important to just, go out and just start playing a song, at little coffee shops or just little places like that, and then that'll just help you to start little stepping stones.
And Blue Star Connection, incredible organization, and that is actually where John Bion met you. So
Yeah.
talk about that.
Okay, so my mom is a real estate agent. She works with Headwaters Realty, and I'm guessing that Headwaters Realty and Blue Star Connections have sort of like a tie, like a bond. So they were holding a show at the downtown Artery in Fort Collins, and my mom begged the coordinator, please let her play one or two songs. And so I showed up, and Emma was playing her set right as I walked in. I was just like, wow, she looks like she's having a grand time. I think that's really when I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do for a living. I was so nervous, and it's like being on stage and performing isn't something that phases me at all anymore. But it's just like I can remember my heart beating 1,000 miles. It's just like 1,000 beats per minute, and it was just like, wow, is this what it always feels like, the thrill of performing? And it makes it so worth it. And that's why I feel like younger artists are so lucky, like the ramp artists, they're so lucky to live in a place like Colorado where there are people like Vincent who give us these opportunities to do what we love the most.
John, I wanted to throw it over your way, and you work with artists, being a band manager, and the artists you work with a little bit further along the road, there are certain life skills and experiences that you would anticipate that artists have before they would be in a situation where they come to you for guidance and management. And I thought it'd be interesting for you to kind of maybe talk a little bit about what some of those aspects might be.
Sure. So prerequisites for artist management and help with development are obviously songwriting. Even if you haven't performed them, and even if they're not complete songs, you should have a book. You should have a book of pieces, of melodies, of chord progressions, of 6-sentence lyrics that you'll maybe put in a song at some point. Oftentimes people come to me really too early, and I wish I could help everybody, but the facts is that If you don't have musical works, there's not much for me to do. So I'll always throw it back to the music. Make sure you're actively writing. Make sure, even if you haven't performed it, again, even if you haven't recorded it, if there's no demo, still have pieces of music that you have waiting to be produced. Stage hours are really important. We talked about your confidence, Emma, before. I mean, going into a gig with just one song, all of the things that could go wrong pop up into my head. What if you get encored and you have no other song? You're just like, sorry, go home now. Those kinds of things should be incorporated before you even consider management or development or booking agents, things like that. You really have to have, I would say you would have to have at least 45 minutes of original music. Covers are great, but many venues here in Colorado are not ASCAP or CSAC or BMI reporting, so you're not going to be able to play those covers and then you don't have a show. So 45 minutes of music at least. I mean, ideally you'd have 4 hours of music so that you don't have the same set every time. Music, definitely being able to connect with your audience. Can you hold people's attention? If your music's not holding somebody's attention, can you switch it? Can you put out something else that makes everybody wake up? If you see somebody yawning, you don't do the same thing again and again and again. You make something else happen. So reading your audience, stage experience, music to perform. Once I get involved with an artist, then we get really into the nitty-gritty of strategy and release, distribution, really creating headlining acts, people to open up for you versus you opening up for somebody else, things like that. I mean, the music industry changes on a 6-month basis, and so this answer to this question would be completely different in the next 6 months. Honestly, in the grand scheme of, the music industry, ideally everybody wants a record label. Ideally everybody wants to be on the Grammys performing with, whoever the big hot guy is at this point. It's funny, this year it's all the old people that I was into when I was your guys' age. I was like, everything comes around 20 years, Lady Gaga and Metallica, that was an experience I never thought I'd see. So, I can go on and on and on and on and on and on. But yeah, right now in the music industry, it's distribution. Performances and stage hours are great, but they're literally a fingernail in the grand scheme of what the music industry actually is right now, which is, do you have actual people listening to your music? Are they downloading? Are they streaming? Are you being synced into movies? And are you being synced into commercials? Do you have something else? Unfortunately, we don't live in LA, or maybe fortunately for some people, we're not going to get discovered at the coffee shop in Loveland or Longmont or Fort Collins or even Denver or Boulder, honestly. The real A&R people are not walking around Colorado trying to find the next Taylor Swift. So luckily we're in the digital age, and so everybody can be found that way.
Right. And if you look back, like not that long ago, alluding again to the technology, it's changed quite a bit. I'm wondering for your musical life, Oscar, how things have changed the last 5 or 10 years.
This is actually really interesting. So she's talking about this kind of big picture, right? This music industry, this marketing thing, and we were just talking about starting off.
Yeah.
Learn to play an instrument, find a mentor, have some parental support. There's this area in between, which is, I think, the area that most people are struggling to sort of handle right now. And as a musician, it's really easy to get tunnel vision because your life is about focusing on small details. I mean, like, I'm trying to keep my wrist straight. I want to be more relaxed in my right hand. It's tiny, right? And then we're talking about like your big marketing plan. Like how to get from point A to point B. Jonna was really great helping me with that. Just like incorporate your band, make it a business, an LLC, whatever. think about withholding your money for taxes, right? Because you have to pay your own taxes. It's not like a paycheck. This whole middle zone, start thinking about how to get work, or if you're going to do something else to support your music, or what kind of musician you want to be. She's talking about strategy. If you're going to push things online and try to get that, or if you're going to do work in your community and go from there, everyone's got a different strategy. Some people play as rarely as possible, so every time they play it's a big show. Some people play constantly so that everyone sees them. Everyone's got to figure out what they are and how it works, but this big picture, this like in-between zone, this is where you try to marry your technical ability with the instrument with a sense of self, to try to find what you're even selling, what your career is going to be. I mean, you probably won't know for years of working as a musician.
Right, and you had mentioned as well, as far as artists get into their craft, they kind of need to continually reassess where they are and where they may want to be going, because there are a lot of diverse ways to take your music. There's a lot of different things that you can do with it.
Yes, that's true. I think a lot of the times at least for me, when I was 11 years old, it started with a love for a particular music. It was Led Zeppelin for me at the time. And you have to start to look at what am I doing? Am I trying to sound like this? What about this appeals to me, and how do I capture that feeling rather than the sound? To try to develop yourself, and then you'll have something that will be inherently different than everything around you.